Good morning, everyone. It's Lynn Dunn from Stamptastic Designs. Thanks so much for joining me today. So, I am on a masculine themed card kick right now. So, I have a variety of masculine themed cards that I want to share with you. So, today we're going to focus on these four cards, and they were created with the Brewed For You bundle. So, here's what the bundle looks like. So, this is the stamp set. So it's a really cool little bundle. Hi, good morning. And then there's also, of course, a coordinating dies. So the dies are called the brood dies, and they have the outlines. You can cut out the outline of the glass or the mug, whatever you're using. And then there's some fun little die cut and embossing shapes on the inside. And of course, you can make your little foam or suds, whatever, whatever you call it. To decorate your beer and beer glasses. So it was kind of fun. It was a fun little stamp set that I was playing with. Good morning. And then I'm also going to be using some of these new deckled, what are they? Deckled rectangles. That's what they are. So I'll be using some new deckled rectangles. And you guys know me and my paper tearing. These are awesome because it's like paper tearing without the paper tearing. So they just kind of give you a really nice rustic edge for whatever you use them on cardstock or designer paper. So good morning, good morning. So these are the cards I'm going to show you how to make today. And I have a kind of a unique little card idea that I'll show you. This is, I guess it's a fun fold card, but it's just on a regular piece of cardstock. It's not your normal opening card. So I'll show you how to make that one. That was kind of fun. So good morning, everybody. I hope you guys can hear me okay. I think I turned the volume up. So, all right, so let me start. We're going to start with this one. And what I'm going to do actually is first, I think, actually what I'll do is show you how to use this stamp set. So let me grab my stuff here. So what I did, I'll just do it on a white piece of paper. So let's make this a little bit bigger. Good morning, everybody. There we go. So what I did with this particular set, so I created two cards using just the glasses here. And then I created two cards with the mug. Where'd it go? Here it is. So I created two cards with the mug. So I'm going to show you the concept for creating these little glasses of beer is pretty much the same. The cool thing about this stamp set is that there's a overlay image, so you don't have to color in. You don't have to use a marker or anything to color your glasses. There's a little image that does that for you. So what I did is I just stamped my mug or my glass I did it on a scrap piece of paper. So I just stamped it like that. I'm just using basic gray for my mug. So there's the mug design. And then I just used some Daffodil Delight, actually, because it kind of comes out darker. And there's this overlay image here that you can just lay right on top. If I can do this while I'm on the live. You just lay right on top and it colors in your mug. So it's really kind of cool. And it does the same thing. There's a outline image for the glasses. And then of course you can stamp the color on the inside of the glasses. So I did all of that already just because we're on a live and I needed to have all these pieces cut. But there's an die in here. So let me show you. There's a little die in here that you can use to cut out this image. So once you stamp it on your cardstock, then you can lay the die over the image and then you can run it through your embossing machine and cut it out and use it as little embellishments on your card. So good morning, everybody. Good morning. So this one I'm just going to leave like this, and actually I'll just use this piece on the inside of one of my cards, but I just wanted to show you the basic concept for creating that. All right, so let's start with this card. So what I did, I've been using Sahara Sand and Early Espresso cardstock for the base of my card. So this is just your standard card base. It's just the 5.5 by 8.5 scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So it's your standard card base. And then what I did is I just added a variety of different layers. So I've been doing, I don't know, I've just been doing a lot of layering lately with all my stuff. So I'm just going to scoot this down here a little bit. So I just added a variety of different layers and I used those deckled rectangles to cut out all my paper. So you can see it has that kind of torn look on the sides and it has that all the way around. So, and all of these little deckled rectangles, they all layer together. So if I wanted to create, several layers, I could do that with these. So they all kind of nest together. So this first one, I'm just going to add this piece right on the card front. I probably could give you an idea of how big this piece is. I'll put all the measurements out on my blog later today. But just by the looks of it, it's probably roughly about 5 by, this is probably 5, this is probably 3 3/4, maybe a little less. So I added that, and I'm using the designer paper from the He's the Man designer series paper. So it's got some really fun patterns on it. So then I just cut out another deckled rectangle. So it's going to be all rectangles. That's what I'm using today. And then I just cut it from a different piece of the designer paper and just kind of put it right across the center. And then my next layer is just a little bit of vellum. So this is 2.5 by 3.5. So I just added a little piece of vellum right in the center here just to kind of mute that out a little bit. And then I just cut a couple other pieces. Let's see here. This is just a 1/2 inch by 4 1/4 inch. And this is another piece of that designer paper. So there's a lot you can do with this designer paper, even though I'm not using the stamp set from that particular suite. The designer paper works with a lot of different things. So we'll just add that across the bottom. And then I'm going to add my greeting. So I'm kind of decorating the entire card first, and then I'll add my focal point. So I'm just going to pop up my greeting. So this is just another 1/2 inch piece of paper. So this is white cardstock. So it's a 1/2 inch by 3 3/4 inches. So we'll just add that across the bottom. So that's the basic design. And then I already cut these out like I showed you on that piece of paper. I just stamped these on a scrap piece of white cardstock using that basic gray ink. And then I just colored them in with the coordinating stamp. So for this one, it's this particular stamp that fills in that glass. So I just stamped that yellow in there. And then I created these little suds, I guess the foam for the beer. So what I did, so there's a little bit of a trick to it because I wanted the outline of my glass. See that gray part on the top? There's no gray part kind of on the bottom of your suds. So I just kind of rested this right above that outline of the glass. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. So I rested it right above there. My camera's getting awfully bright. And then I just added a dimensional to the back. So let me do that just to hold it in place. So then it looks like that. So we'll just add a couple of these little dimensionals here. Add that across the back. So that's the first one. And then to do the second one, I just kind of tucked this little piece behind and kind of put the suds behind it. We'll add a dimensional there, and we'll add another one down here. And I'm going to use the ends of my thing here. Oop, sorry, I'm getting a dimensional. Okay, so that's basically how I created it so that I could tuck it underneath here and kind of make it look like they're tipping together. So I'll adhere this one first, and then we'll tuck that other one underneath. So you can add these little suds. You can actually stamp the suds on here too, like on a piece of white cardstock. So you don't have to use the die cut to cut out the suds. But since I'm popping these up on the card, I cut out my, whoops, my little suds so that I could pop them up on the card. So that's basically it. And then you have a fun little card. So then I just use some of those rustic little dots here. I forgot what they're called, the rustic dots. And then I just decorated up the card. So that's it. And then on the inside of the cards, I just used up a lot of designer series paper just to kind of decorate the inside of the cards. But you could also stamp one of these little glasses right on the inside of the card too, just to decorate it up. So there's lots of possibilities with this particular set. So what color did I stamp the inside piece? Oh, this inside part of the glass is Daffodil Delight. It kind of looks like crushed curry, but it's actually Daffodil Delight. So the glass is stamped with basic gray, and this is Daffodil Delight. So, all right, so there's our first card. So let me move this over. And then the second card, I got all my pieces here. I was kind of playing around with like a panel card design. So this is what I did for the next card that I want to show you. So this is Sahara Sand cardstock for my card base. And I took those deckled rectangles and I created some smaller pieces here. Oops, I got a lot of fuzz on here. I got paper fuzz. Paper fuzz on the side. So I used it just to cut out, I took like a 2-inch piece of designer paper, and then I laid my rectangle on there, and I just cut out this part of the paper. So the rectangle was much larger than my piece, so the rest of it just hung off. So I have a straight line on each side. Let me see if I can find that quick and show you. So like, for example, this one isn't the right size, but maybe I'll grab the other one so you can see it better. So I just cut a 2-inch wide piece of designer paper. And then when I ran this through, I just ran it through just like this, and there's nothing there to cut here. So it keeps a nice straight edge. So I basically just cut the design into this part of my designer paper. So I hope that makes sense. And then that way I could use these on each side of my card front just as a little bit of a decoration. So I'm going to add these. So one side is flat, and then the other side has that deckled look, or that torn paper look. So just adhere them to each side of the card front. So it just kind of adds a little bit in the background, and it's really easy to do. So we'll just add that. And then I took some smaller deckled rectangles. I think I just like saying that word deckled. And then I cut them out of three different pieces, or I cut three different pieces, two from the same pattern paper, and then just one different for the center. And so what I'm going to do with all of these is just pop them up on the card front. So I'm gonna use up my end pieces here as soon as I find my scissors. It's amazing how I lose my scissors all the time. So I'm gonna just use up some of these pieces because they're a little bit longer. So these will cover these nice. So you don't have to pop them up on the card. You can put them, completely flat with the card. Of course, I just wanted to give it a little bit of depth and dimension. I'm using all the end pieces of my dimensionals. There we go. All right, so this is how it's going to look. Let me move this over. So I adhered my centerpiece first and then worked my way out. So we'll adhere this one. Hopefully that looks center. And then you just adhere the outer pieces. So it's just kind of a fun way to use these little shapes. You could do this with any shapes. So if you don't have the deckled rectangles, you can certainly use any other shapes. The stitched rectangles would work good. And just kind of adhere them, right across the card like that. So it creates a fun little background. And then I just added my little beer stein here, or cup, glass. I don't know what the term is. So let's put this on there. Sorry, just grabbing some dimensionals here. So we'll pop this up on the card, right in the center. And then the last thing I did is just add a little greeting from the set. So it's just a 1/2 inch wide piece of paper, and I just stamped my little greeting on there and then just snipped the end into a little banner. So this I'm just going to glue on since I have everything else popped up. So we'll tuck that under there and gently glue that on. I think it's straight. Okay, and then we just add a couple little embellishments. So it's a pretty easy card. It's just a lot of layering, and it just has a really fun look once you get it done. So that is card number 2. Thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. And then on the inside of this one, I think I added some more designer paper. So I also did a little bit of that decaling on the top and bottom of this particular piece. So it's a great way to use up some of my scrap paper. All right. So then where is my next one here? Oops. Here it is. So again, just more layering. So keep in mind, you guys, you can use these card layouts that I'm sharing with any supplies that you have on hand. So it's just a nice way to, oops, I grabbed the wrong one. Hold on. That's for the other one. It's just a nice way to add, a little bit of color and contrast in your background. So, obviously the more layers you have, the more color and contrast you have. So for this one, I used a variety of different little pieces. I cut all different sizes of the deckled shapes that are in this particular set. And then I just layered them together. So this one has a flat edge on it. So when I cut it, I just either trimmed it down or used the die kind of as a partial die cut. I do have a video on partial die cutting, so if you haven't seen the partial die cutting, you can watch that video. But I just adhered this right to the side of the card, and then I just layered these other pieces on top of it. And I didn't get the measurements for all of these, but I'll put them out on my blog, like I said, later, so that you guys have an idea of the size of each of these pieces. I didn't have to deal with measurements because I had all those die cut um deckled I keep saying I want to say triangles, deckled rectangles. I had all those die cut pieces, so I didn't have to measure anything. I just cut them. So we'll just tuck this little piece behind here. So that's it. That's just the basic design, just layering them all together. And then I'm going to add my greeting on the bottom. And then we'll add our beer signs. So this is just a 1/2 inch wide piece. I save all my scrap pieces of um, white cardstock, and then I just use them for my greetings. So let's put this. So this one has, it's similar to the other one. See how there's no gray line on the bottom here? So I could just tuck that behind this stein and then add my dimensionals to kind of hold it in place. So then you don't have to kind of putz with glue. You can just use your dimensionals to hold that piece in place. So those are the suds. I think that's the right term, the suds. So let's see, how do we want to do this? So I could put this up like this and just tuck this underneath, or I could bring it down. Maybe I'll put it up this time. We'll do it a little bit different. We'll put the beer right there, and then we'll put this right below it. And that way you can see a little bit of the Cajun below it. So there's another design for you. So this one I just kind of covered everything up on the bottom here, and then this one I just kind of left the layers show a little bit. So I'm not sure which one I like best. I think they both look cool. So then you can go ahead and just add some embellishments. And we'll add a little bit up here. There we go. So that is the third design. Whoops. And then I think, yeah, I added a little bit of scrap on the inside just to kind of decorate the inside. And then here's where you could add this piece that I showed you how to create earlier. You could just add this right to the inside and then just add a little bit of designer paper on the other side. And we can stamp the bubbles on there too. So the bubbles, my husband would be like, bubbles, what are you talking about? Uh, anyway, okay, so this last one I have for you is just a little bit different. It's just a little unique design. I was kind of playing around with those deckled rectangles, and I wanted to kind of create, at first I wanted to create like a card that had that deckled look around the outside, which is what I did here. I used the largest one. So I used the largest rectangular shape in this particular set. And I just took a piece of, well, let's just grab this. I just took a regular piece of cardstock. So this is just my standard card base. And then what I did is I laid this on this piece, and I laid it so that the edge here um, kind of so it's not directly on your cardstock. It kind of like hangs off. And then I ran this through my embossing machine with this hanging off the edge of the card. And by doing that, I created this little, just a slightly smaller card. So you can see it's smaller than your standard card base. But I thought it was kind of a fun little insert or fun fold card that you could make using those deckled rectangles. So that's what I have here. So you can see that this is the exact size of, almost the exact size. And you can see I just left that little bit hang off so that it didn't cut that fold. So then what I did is just adhered it to just a piece of cardstock. So this is just standard card size. This is 5.5 by 4.25 inches. And then I took this piece and I adhered it to this piece. So this is the actual card part. This is just the base to hold this, this little piece. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to stamp some stuff on here. So let me grab a scrap piece of paper. And I'm just going to use Sahara Sand ink. And I'm going to use the Stein, the little mug. And I'm just going to stamp some different images across this piece. So I'm just using the Sahara Sand ink. It's the same color ink as the cardstock. And we'll just kind of go along and stamp it in different directions. Just kind of makes a nice little background. And then we'll put this one here. So we can do that. And then we could also stamp it on the inside. Let's see what that, let's just experiment and see what this looks like too. So how about if I stamp down here, stamp right down this side. This will kind of decorate the inside. Let's go this way. So notice how I'm just kind of alternating them so they're not slanted the same way. There we go. All right, so now that we have that done, now we can just go ahead and decorate it. I'm going to move this out of the way. Let's close this. I'll bring back the sample so you guys can see it. All right, you guys are asking me about the embellishments. Now I got to find them. All right, so these are the embellishments I'm using. Rustic metallic adhesive back dots. My dots fell apart here in the package, but so that's what I'm using. Those are the little rustic metallic dots that I'm using. Thank you for the question, Cindy. Okay, so here's how we're going to put this card together. So I'm just going to take this piece that I stamped and I'm just going to adhere it to the card, to that little 4.25 by 5.5 inch piece. So this is early espresso cardstock. This is Sahara Sand. And I'm just going to adhere it to the edge of this piece. We'll give that a second to dry. So just adhere it to the side. And then this will be the inside. So when you open up the inside, now you have the little design on the inside too. Same design as the outside. So then I just took another one of those deckled rectangles. I could give you an idea of how big this is. Let's see, it's roughly 2 by 3.5. So this is roughly 2 by 3.5. And this is just going to go right in the center. So that just kind of covers up, you know, the center so that all your stamping is kind of around the edge. And then I have to add my little greeting here. So my greeting I just stamped on a 1/2 inch by 3 inch piece of white cardstock. So that we got there. And then let's add our little, put our little mug here together. So I got a little dimensional here. And I'm going to put a little dimensional on the side and the one down here just to kind of hold it together. So let's see, that'll go right about there. So we'll add this to the front. We'll move it up a little bit. And then we'll add our greeting on the bottom. And that's it. That's it for the front. So that's what the front of the card looks like. And then on the inside, so you can see on the inside of this one, I didn't do any stamping. But then on the inside of this one, I did. So we've already decorated our card a little bit with that stamping. And then I just took one of the smaller deckled rectangles. So this is roughly 1 1/4 by 2 3/4. And I'm just adhering it on the inside towards the edge here. So that just kind of adds a little bit of color to the inside. And then of course you can still see it from the outside. And I'll bring this one back. And then I just added some of my little rustic dots on the side here. So that is it. And it's just kind of a fun little design. It's kind of like a fun fold. It's just a different kind of way, I guess, to decorate or create a card instead of your normal cards like I showed you. So all right, so I think it looks pretty good with the steins on the inside, and then you got this whole space here to write a personalized message if you want to. All right, so let me grab these other cards and bring them back so you can see them all together again. And I will try to get them all on the screen so you can see them. Kind of a small screen, but there we go. All right. So let me see. There we go. I knew I could come back and say hi to you guys. So there you go, guys. Now you guys have 4 different cards. Some fun layouts that you can really use with any supplies you have on hand. So if you don't want to make masculine cards, you can use this design with flowers or whatever kind of stamp set that you have on hand. So I will get all the measurements and all of these cards out on my blog later today. So I will post that for all of you once I get that done. So I hope you enjoyed these card ideas. And thanks so much for joining me today, you guys. I really have fun every Sunday, just kind of sharing some fun little card ideas with you. So I hope you guys have a fabulous Sunday, a great rest of your weekend. And I will see you guys again next week. So take care, everybody. Bye.